Hey, if you're somebody who really loves big, beautiful, colorful ice cream sundaes, you're gonna hate this video and you just need to go on to another reel. But if you're a human being that wants to make yourself awesome, optimize your body, optimize your life, then I invite you, I exhort you to stay tuned to this video and watch the content and share it with somebody else that's like you, not somebody that loves big, beautiful, colorful sundaes. I'm going to be talking about the alpha personality. I'm going to introduce one of my latest clients, how he made himself awesome in 1 month, why he was able to do that. I'm going to share with you what you don't know about what's bad inside of you, what's good, and what is outstanding. I'm going to talk to you about secrets to make your face more awesome so you can be a better influencer. Secrets about how to make your body improve and more awesome so you can be a better performer. I'm going to go and cover 8 critical steps and strategies you got to do in this video to improve your health, your appearance, your performance, and your very life. How do I know this? Because I am the first world's health and performance optimizing physician, formerly trained in emergency medicine as an MD, turned researcher to look at how to eradicate chronic disease. I was able to eradicate chronic disease for the National Science Foundation to study, and I found that appearance and performance and life improves when you do that. I'm going to share with you in this video how that happens. And I'm going to cover a lot of content so they save you a lot of time from figuring out yourself so you don't have to go through all the studies, and save you from making mistakes and basically make it a lot easier for you to optimize yourself. So we're going to be talking about alphas, people that are very determined, outcome oriented. They're ambitious, they're accomplished, they're really end result driven. They want to be the best, they're highly competitive. Those kind of people can really optimize themselves. And that's why this one person, this new client that I have, was able to do that. I'm going to show you the changes he made. So first of all, this new client, right here in this picture, let me make it a little bit smaller so you can see that. That's his face there. He was the captain of his high school team, wrestling team. Captain of his high school wrestling team. So right away that tells you he ascended to a level of competition and excellence leadership. And so in 1 month, he was able to change his face this month by what he did to change inside his body. And we'll explain that biologically because I use MRIs. It's sort of like a magical looking glass inside the body to see what happens that nobody else is talking about, nobody else is doing, because they don't know how to change that. You may accidentally do that. I'm going to increase the likelihood for you to do that because I'm telling you, I'm giving it away. I'm not charging you anything. It's free. Just watch this, because what is my passion is to optimize human beings, not to make money. I'm going to get in why making money can be a problem. It can distract you. So this guy was really making money. His metrics in his life in terms of excellence had left in high school. He wasn't tracking metrics to make money in high school when he became the captain of the wrestling team. But as he became an executive, sales executive, then first sales and then a sales executive, his metrics turns towards making money. I helped him to redirect his metrics towards something else to make him more awesome instead of money. If you think about a lot of wealthy people, and I've worked with 52 billionaires and members of royal families, they don't have such great bodies. I will tell you, from perfect insight, close insight into them. Not really healthy. Wouldn't want to be like them. But we're going to share with you, first of all, a really, really important metric to improve and track, okay? It's called visceral fat. This is a slice through the abdomen, basically at the level of the umbilicus, the belly button, okay? Through cross section. And that's what we're seeing. This was his MRI showing visceral fat. All this white stuff in here, fat on an MRI shows up as white. Muscles on the sides and the front, that's his six-pack, show up as dark. Muscles in the back. There's your core, your psoas muscle, This is your vertebral body. These are your organs, internal organs, your kidneys, your colon, some of your small intestine. So those show up dark too. But the white stuff is bad. The white on the outside, not so bad. Subcutaneous fat, not a big deal. This visceral fat stuff is really a big deal. Google it. Visceral fat, harmful. Visceral fat, dangerous. Read about it. Look at the studies. Throw in PubMed. Throw in ScienceDaily.com. Read the studies. Why do you have to read it? Because your doctor is not reading it. Your doctor is not trained in medical school. I wasn't. None of them are on visceral fat. Neither are radiologists. They don't read it. They don't report it. It's time for that to stop. I set up a 501c3 educational charity to turn things around. So if you're interested in donating that 501c3, get a hold of me. If you like this content, that's what this charity does. Create videos, and it's going to help to increase and influence the curriculum in medical schools so we can save you. This guy changed from here to here in 1 month. Now, you can see that. You didn't go to medical school, and you're not a radiologist. Automatically, you can see that. You think this guy was motivated when he saw that change inside? You bet he was. And he's back for more. He said, the big guns come out now. That's what he told me in a text when I shared that. The big guns come out now. See, he was driven. He didn't back down. He didn't rest on his laurels. No, he saw a good metric and he went for it. That's what you need to pay attention to. Get rid of your visceral fat. Look at what else happened. He built his muscles. His muscles, six-pack, got jacked, six-pack, 1 month. Getting rid of that visceral fat allows awesome things like muscle protein synthesis to occur. So you can start building and optimize your body. This is what you need to do. Get rid of the bad stuff and promote the good stuff. How come when you go to a doctor, they don't tell you that? Because they don't know. They're looking at cholesterol, mixed signal to noise ratios that they can't really improve you with. Nobody changes their life optimizing their cholesterol, but if you optimize your muscle to fat, you will. But quit fooling around with nonsensical measures. Use the gold standard, and MRI is the best way to do this, to look exactly, quantify that bad visceral fat and quantify that good muscle. That's what this client did, and the strategies I gave him to work on allow for that to happen. So what you need to do is work on making sure that you optimize that muscle, okay, and decrease that fat. Now, in the next slide, we're going to take a look at how visceral fat causes other problems. Visceral fat causes all that visceral white stuff in there is visceral fat. It causes fatty infiltrates in the legs. These are cross sections through the thighs, through the femurs. So the same process causing visceral fat causes fatty deposition in your muscles. You start losing your muscles and your muscles get replaced with fat. Let's look at this awesome specimen. Remember, dark was muscle. What do you see a lot of in there? A lot of muscle. This guy is an Olympic sprinter, the best abdomen I've ever seen, ever. You go to a radiologist, if you're a radiologist listening right now, how would you even know what a good abdomen is? You're just looking for disease. Do you ask yourself what is an optimal human being? You don't even get that information to know. But this guy's an Olympic sprinter, high performing, one of the top 10 fastest runners in the world. Very little visceral fat, huge core. Look at that guy's core. Wow, it's kissing his six-pack here. And look at his beautiful legs. Filet mignon. There's none of these fatty infiltrates going on like in this guy's legs. Beautiful, healthy legs, which you want to get into. Now, let's look at what else changes when you get rid of visceral fat. Visceral fat, also, the same process that causes that visceral fat causes fat around this thing right here, right and left lung fields. What's in the middle between your lungs? You haven't gone to medical school, but what's right in the middle? Your heart, okay? Remember I told you fat shows up as white? Look at that big chunk of fat around that heart. Look how much it was reduced. It's called epi and pericardial fat, or heart fat, I call it for short. You can Google and read about how it's associated, particularly locally, with heart attacks. This is so inflammatory, it directly influences the coronary arteries on the outside of the heart. So you really don't want to have this stuff. Only many of you have had chest CTs, and no one's ever told you about this chunk of inflammatory fat that you have around your heart. Nobody's told you when you've had a abdominal CT about the chunk, giant, enormous inflammatory fat depot that you have in your abdomen, because it's just not part of the curriculum. There's too much money to be made as you fall apart from big pharma that's influencing the curriculum in medical schools. Time for that insanity to stop. If you want to be a part of that, contribute to my 501c3 so you can help the insanity end. Now let's look at something you can do to get rid of this inflammation, this visceral fat. This guy right here, 68 years old, had inflammation in his muscles, lots of visceral fat, 2 weeks. You can see that visceral fat went down. He just cut out processed foods. And by the end of those 35 weeks, look at his shape. He looks like he's got a shape of a 60-year-old, like a big barrel around him. It's like most 68-year-olds, barrel belly. But by the time he's 35 weeks later, eliminating cut out processed foods, he's got a shape of like a 20-year-old guy. And he's got a six-pack. Yeah, 68-year-old guy, cuts out processed foods, gets a six-pack. Well, you say, I've seen other guys on the video get six-pack. Not one that's never exercised 1 minute? Yeah, back up, listen. He didn't exercise 1 minute. Yeah, gym rats. You're not gonna exercise yourself out of this inflammatory state. You have got to get control of your diet, cut out processed foods. That's how this guy did it. He didn't exercise 1 minute. Now exercise good. I love exercise. And when I work with clients, they exercise a lot. I talk to them about that. But I do not waste their time thinking that it's just exercise. You're a joke. A joke if you're eating bad food and you think you're just gonna exercise. Yeah, there's lots of young people out there, CECO, calories in, calories out. Eventually, that falls apart because of the big microbiome that they don't know anything about, and they fall apart. So you want to optimize yourself, it's diet and exercise. That's what you want to pay attention to. So let's look at how faces change. Big change in the person's visceral fat and inflammation affects your face. So you see inflammation in the face of people, and that's me. Age 48, filled with visceral fat. I only weighed 165 pounds. Now I weigh more today, 178 pounds, and I'm now 11 years old, 59 years old, but no visceral fat. Visceral fat destroys the appearance of your tissue, both inside your body and outside your body. It ruins and destroys the appearance and shape of your body and your face. Faces are incredibly important. You need a healthy looking face to become a better influencer. Why? Because you're biologically adapted. We all are, with wiring to look for other Homo sapiens that have low levels of disease and to pay attention to them, particularly if they also have some of this stuff, gray hair. Because if you got a healthy looking face and you got gray hair, that means you've lived, you've proven the test of time that you've lived for a long time and you look healthy. And why that becomes attractive is because you can become a better influencer to those people, because everybody is biologically imprinted with the same messaging software that says, I need to pay attention to people that can help me live better. So biologically, we're always looking for people that can help us to live better. Basically, who can bring back the bacon more? Who can bring home dinner? Who's going to be a better producer, be able to be a better hunter, go out and produce? Biologically, that is influence. And we see it first and foremostly in the face, more so than the body, because oftentimes we had clothing on in the form of animal skins. So if you decrease that inflammation, you improve the face, and you improve your ability to influence. So whatever you do, if you work with people, if you own your business, you're a consultant, you provide any kind of services, you must look good. Your appearance matters. It truly does. Would you go to a dentist that had messed up looking teeth? I don't know why people go to doctors when they look super unhealthy. It's just because it's a norm. But you do not want to compromise your ability to reach people and influence them because you're living a poor lifestyle and you're not having a healthy diet. So I want to get into a little bit first about performance. Okay, performance is revealed by a lot by your body. Okay, your body's ability to perform. If you kind of right away, if you got a really patently, obviously unhealthy body, you're just not going to be a good performer across the board. You might be good in a few things, you may practice it, but across the board, you're not going to be good. So clothing, unfortunately, conceals our body. And so there are a lot of people out there putting on expensive clothes. Don't be fooled by that. Expensive clothes, they're just concealing that they're poor performers and something wrong. They're not healthy in their body. In the past, why did we pay so much attention to clothes? Because in the past, it did matter. Let me tell you how clothes mattered in the past to show that they were good performers. The best hunters had the best clothes, the best animal skins. That's what we wore. You had an awesome looking, healthy animal skin, great fur, great looking skin. Everybody knew what that looked like, and you were the man or the woman. It was really valuable, and it says, I know how to hunt. I could catch this bad boy, and it's on my body right now, adorning my body, and the microbes from that fur make me better. And that's how clothes became important. But suddenly, money came along, and now you can buy it and conceal the fact that you can't really perform. You just pay for it, or somebody else gives that money to whatever you acquired through inheritance or something. So don't be fooled by clothes. Don't use clothes to make you look better. Use your body, your face, based on your life, how you live, to look better, and you'll attract a lot more people, and people will pay attention to you more. So I want to cover what now I told you I would cover that you need to do to optimize yourself. Okay? So first of all, eliminate all processed carbs, especially all processed foods. Simple processed carbs are terribly destructive. You want to eat whole, 100% grass-fed healthy meat, the healthiest animal possible. Grain-fed meat and animals in confined animal feeding operations, stressed out, fed junky food, fed corn, soy, grain, sugar, molasses, junk antibiotics just to fatten them up, make them more, basically fat is inflammatory, make them way more because that's how they get money. Don't be eating that kind of meat. Eat, more pastured animals, 100% grass-fed, grass-finished, and then wild animals, much healthier. And then you want to eat organ meat and liver and, more nose to tail. We would have eaten everything. We didn't waste anything on an animal. So you want to eat a more balanced approach to that. And then if you eat vegetables in whole form. Don't eat this powdered green mix and green drink stuff. Eat it in whole form. Chew it, masticate it. Get that rather than this highly processed form. And eat fermented foods. Personally, I don't eat vegetables. The only vegetables I eat are vegetables that are fermented. Ferments. Pay attention. They're traditional. They've been around for thousands of years. We know how long they've been around. Probably millions of years. But fermented vegetables are an amazing strategy to optimize yourself. Eat fermented vegetables, eat fermented foods. When you eat meat and masticate, put them together, chew them together. Put the meat in your mouth, put a little bit of ferment, chew them together. You put those microbes in, they allow you to digest food better, and it starts in your mouth. By the time it gets in your stomach, you have all those microbes helping you, aiding your digestion. Fantastically helpful. So what kind of foods we should be eating? One of my favorites is kimchi, Korean sauerkraut, fermented foods. Another one I really like is kvass, K-V-A-S-S. It's Russian fermented beet juice. Every member of the Russian Olympic team has to drink kvass. I like this brand. Shout out to Angelica's garden. Angelica, I think, is from Wisconsin. I don't know her, I don't have any financial interest, but she makes a really nice kvass, K-V-A-S-S. Google it, read about it. It's great stuff. And then just simple probiotic, apple cider vinegar, organic. It must say with the mother. It can't be pasteurized. If any of this stuff is pasteurized, it's toast. They've killed all the beneficial microbes. You consume ferments, not for their nutritional value, but for the microbial value. So you don't have to consume a lot. Its benefits are from the living microbes inside. And here's one of my favorite. This is how I eat fruit. You got a lot of people out there, I know, Paul Saladino doing awesome stuff, and lots of other people that eat fruit. I am not convinced. I think, yeah, they can get away with it for now, but I think they've obtained metabolic health. Not everybody can do that, and I think they might lose it again. So I'm going to pay attention to them. But it is interesting. What I do is, let's be safer about it. I take that fruit and I ferment it, get rid of those carbohydrates. I get all the awesome nutritional benefit, and then I get these fermented berries I make myself, and it's just awesome. So fermented blueberries, I ferment food, and that's how I get that benefit. So also yogurt, plain, unsweetened, whole, organic, 100% grass-fed, non-homogenized. Don't process it. Let nature process it with just microbes, bacteria. It's the only thing you do with fermented dairy, cheese. It's wonderful. Blue cheese, fermented cheese, raw is best. Minimal, you don't want any processing. And then I also recommend a regular practice of fasting. Fasting increases autophagy, which is basically how the cells in the body, tissues, organs maintain themselves, improve themselves, where the awesomeness happens. It's great stuff that happens during autophagy. So fasting, get in the practice of doing intermittent fasting, and then do OMAD, 1 meal a day, and then increase it to extended fasting, where you're doing, instead of just 24-hour fast, you do a 36-hour fast, and you slowly increase it till you're doing some extended fasting like I do every week, 3 days right now. I don't know how long I'm gonna keep that up, but I gotta tell you, I believe that addition of the extended fasting to 72 hours has been one of the most significant strategies that I've done to improve my health. Amazing things, and I'll do another video just on that, what happens. But if you wanna get started, you're watching this video, try slowly working yourself up to extended fasting and see the benefit that happens when you start doing fasting. And then I recommend doing maximum intensity exercise. I have high intensity exercise. I changed my mind. It's not high. It's maximum, the hardest, most intense you can do. High intensity is sort of middle of the road. The worst of all, in my opinion, or least beneficial, I should say, is durational exercise. You want maximum intensity. It came down to two things that would keep you in the gene pool and improve the quality of your life the most. How fast you could sprint, not how long, how fast you could sprint to catch something that you needed to catch and kill and eat, and to get away from something that was going to catch and kill you. It's sprinting. And then also fighting, intensity struggle, intense struggle. How fast or how good you could fight. Could you fight an animal that you needed to kill to eat quickly and efficiently before it hurt you? Or could you defend yourself against a threat from some other animal? Oftentimes there's another human being. You know, how good you could fight, how good you could run. So fight or flight came down to that, but nobody really talks about those two exercises. My two favorite exercises are basically fighting and sprinting. I don't recommend fighting, okay? You can emulate fighting today. It's just by the maximum intensity exercise that you're doing, lifting weights, body weight exercises, gymnastic rings, calisthenics, as though you are fighting. And you will achieve enough high maximum intensity to simulate fighting without the injury threat that you have, or with going into an MMA cage or something crazy, or a bar fight or something. So maximum intensity exercise, and then embrace stress hormesis, okay? Stress hormesis produces one of my favorite types of proteins. They're called heat shock proteins, also called cold shock proteins. The other name for them are chaperone proteins. These proteins show up where tissue is being produced and where disease is present, and it corrects things, makes things better, just like a chaperone a high school trip or a junior high school. Make sure things are going okay and drive towards the desirable outcome, okay, and avoid the badness. So chaperone proteins are awesome. How do you get them? Through resilience. It's basically high, very, very stressful, resilient practices that last for a short period of time. We're not talking super long period of times. We're talking about short things. So cold thermogenesis, a cold plunge, a cold shower, a hot session, and a dry finish sauna. Not a fan of infrared. I haven't seen any studies out there, but I'll go say this. I think dry finish saunas compared to infrared saunas, probably dry finish saunas produce more heat shock proteins. I'm guessing that they do. I'm looking for the study. I haven't seen it. And the other thing is concerned about is the artificial nature of those infrared rays. I love nature. When anything competes or is artificial and synthetic towards nature, like the beautiful sun is the best supply of infrared rays. Those rays just penetrate the skin a little bit. But these infrared emitters from these infrared saunas, they go way too deep. I just don't think we have adequate adaptation and protection against it. So I don't recommend my clients do it. I don't recommend you, if you're my follower, use a synthetic infrared. Go out and do the real deal, sunshine, and do dry finish saunas for heat. So saunas, and then blood flow restriction bands. Blood flow restriction bands are bands that you put around your arms and around your legs. I have a video on this already on YouTube. And they basically are venous occlusive. They occlude the blood coming out back in the venous system. And they have minimal impact really in the arterial system. So they just allow accumulation of blood, and it just makes exercise a lot harder. And studies show when you exercise with them, you produce more muscle and get better results in the same period of time compared to people that don't. So blood flow restrictions kind of emulate like exercising at altitude. Like people that go and train in Colorado and then compete at lower levels do better for that harder, more difficult form of exercise they do. So blood flow restrictions are like that, or donating blood. The interesting thing about blood flow restrictions too that I figured out is that you don't have as much blood available in your lungs and your heart, so they have to work harder. So it improves your cardiovascular health. I love blood flow restriction bands, and they're awesome. So read about them and start using them. And then the other really important thing that you need to do is optimize your microbiome. I could do a book. I could do an encyclopedia about the microbiome. Super important. Stop drinking chlorinated water. Stop eating processed foods with food preservatives that keep food from going stale through the action of bacteria that makes food go stale and changes it, and it gets in your food, and those food preservatives go down and destroy your beautiful microbes in your gut. So it's insanity to eat processed foods. You just can't do it. And I see these other doctors throwing this processed food down their throat, counting calories. Good God, they're destroying their microbiome. And they say, well, it's just not worth dwelling on it. You do optimize your microbiome and yourself and see what happens when you do that. Stop harming it. Nitric oxide, this wonderful substance, gets created when you exercise intensely. Fantastically important. High maximum intensity exercise, the sauna, sunshine, and fasting. All of those produce nitric oxide. Google nitric oxide cardiovascular health, nitric oxide health, and see all the incredible benefits that come from it. Absolutely free. All this stuff is free, okay? Don't have to buy anything. And then oxytocin, they call it the cuddle hormone. Fantastic stuff. Have physical contact with your friends, with your loved ones, with your family members, with pets, with dogs. Physical contact, we're meant to have that touch. Human care and concern for other people breeds that. And it makes us better, and it makes them better, and we can all get along and hunt better and be in a clan and have a healthier lifestyle. Oxytocin helps to arrange that. So spend a little time optimizing your oxytocin, optimizing your sleep. There's enough out there on sleep. I hope you get the message. It's incredibly important. But I'll just tell you, if you're doing all the other things and you've got a lot of visceral fat, you probably have very poor sleep. That's a big one that causes a lot of sleep, a lot of visceral fat. And then sunshine, really important. Optimize your sunshine. Optimize your vitamin D, natural vitamin D from the sunshine rather than taking supplements. The best stuff is what your body makes, okay? So you want to facilitate, the production of endogenous vitamin D, not using sunscreen that causes that. Get your body healthy and let your own immune system protect you from the sun instead of eating processed foods and then having to put sunscreen on. You get this pale white anemic look to you and low in vitamin D and poor immunity. And then optimize your sodium, okay? Everybody talks about salt. Salt's really important, but sodium is a channel, is part of salt, half of salt is sodium, that regulates the homeostasis of every single cell in your body. So how do you know how much salt to take? Nobody talks about that. I figured this out because I lay in bed at night and say, how can I get more people more awesome? And I know salt is critically important. Sodium levels are critically important to the maintenance of the cell and therefore to tissue and organs in the body. So when you sweat, you just taste your sweat, okay? Just taste sweat on your arm, put it in your mouth, be a big boy, be a big girl, and taste your sweat. And then assess how salty it is. If it's real watery, and let me tell you, my sweat is very frequently really watery. And then I know I have to ingest salt. So I put a lot more salt on my meals, on my food. I drink spring water with salt added to it until my salt becomes more normal tasting. That's how I regulate it. Super important insight. The rest of you are just guessing. How do you know if you're taking too much? How do you know if you're not taking enough? You got to taste your sweat to see what's that. That's what I think our ancestors did. You got to pay attention to things. It's not cholesterol. You're paying attention to the wrong thing. And then track your blood sugars and your insulin sensitivity. Those are interesting things that you can also optimize and pay attention to. What do your blood sugars do after you consume food? What is happening to those numbers? Pay attention to and track it. So it's a really interesting. When I first got healthy, I did everything I could to develop insulin sensitivity, and it really got me great gains doing that. And then paying attention to your oral microbiome. Okay, the other day I was with this business guy that was telling me he had a heart attack. He had the grossest looking tongue. He had this thick paste. Oh my God, when he was talking, his tongue was really thick with this meal. It looked like oatmeal on his tongue. I was like, oh God, well that fits. He had super unhealthy mouth, bad microbes. When I work in ERs, and I still do, I have 25 years working in an emergency room, I see people really nasty mouths, really nasty teeth. They're the ones I always worry about. They were always really unhealthy. So you want to have a really healthy mouth, sweet tasting mouth, not bad microbes, no gross bacteria growing in your mouth so that you don't have contribution to systemic disease. There's a lot of relevance. So you want healthy gums, healthy teeth, and healthy mouth in general. So anyway, I hope you like this content. If you did, give this video a like. My passion is to try to share optimizing strategies to improve the quality of your life, and I want to eradicate chronic disease, the biggest problem in the world. So share this video with other people if you know somebody you care about so they can have the benefit of this. Hit the subscribe button, hit the alert button so you can find out about more of these videos when I give them out. And if you're really interested, if you're an alpha and you're really interested in optimizing yourself, I'd like to study you, because everybody else, they're really not very useful to study. They fool around, they cheat, they don't get any good results. Alphas, like my client, they give me great results. So that's why I like to work with them. So if you're looking for somebody to really optimize you, I'd like to study. Let's talk. And we'll see you next time on another optimizing video. Dr. Sean out.